Mr.
Hey,
CK4RC.
Mr. Sam Platt, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, my man?
I'm all right. Look at this. We got sunshine. You see the sunshine up here?
We got sunshine. I know I should sing, right?
Yeah, let's not do that.
All right. Well, quickly, do your thing.
What
Chime
thing am I
in.
doing?
Chime in on the comments. We got a
Oh,
show to
yeah.
have.
Yeah, let chime in over there in the
Do the
comments. Let us
thing.
know. Type in there. We can
Do the
see that
this.
we've got a good number of you guys on here, but we can't tell who's here. So go ahead and chime in, sign in, let us know where you're watching from, all that good stuff.
And do the
Well, the quadfecta, you got to like, subscribe, comment, and share. All that stuff.
yes. All right, guys. Welcome back to the show. This is remotely controlled. And as you guys already know, I know what you're waiting for. Do we have a heck of a show for you? And before we get to that, Chaz, guess what?
What?
It's our 10th episode.
I know. That's what we were waiting on.
Yeah, I know, right? We
We
made it.
made
We
it.
made it. We made it to the big 1-0. We're in double digits now. So
People keep
that's an
watching.
accomplishment. What?
People keep watching.
I know it's crazy, but happy 10th, brother. Just wanted to
Even if
say
they
that.
weren't watching, we keep doing this anyways because we have fun.
You're right. We do have a lot of fun. But without further ado, I know what you guys are waiting for. We're going to kick this thing off right. We do have time, but we want to make sure we give Mr. Cape Crawlers himself enough time. So without further ado, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, RC fanatic of all ages, it's time to rev up your motors and lock in those axles, because tonight, we've got a special guest in the house. Hailing from the wind-swept coasts of Massachusetts, tearing up the trails and tuning rigs with precision and passion, he's the founder of Cape Crawlers, the king of custom builds, and a force to be reckoned with. Make some noise for the one, the only, Mr. Articulation Nation himself, Adam from Cape Crawlers.
What's up, boys?
What is
Adam,
up, guys?
what's up, buddy?
Adam, how'd you like that?
Digging the intro. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
I suck at introductions, so I thought I'm gonna let the computer do it for me. The computer
like
do
it.
it
Force
I
to
like
be
it.
reckoned with. How do you
That's
feel
good
about
stuff.
Of course, I pulled all clips from your YouTube channel, and I have to give
Yep.
props to you and to 24 Yep. I pulled that little clip about "What's Up, Boys" from him. So
I like
anyway,
it.
giving props where props are due. 100%. Well, Adam, welcome to Remotely Controlled. Thank you for being here. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the show, and a lot of people are looking forward to chatting it up in the chat with you. So we'll try to get to as many of those comments and questions as possible. We do have some questions of our own we'd like to ask you, but this is pretty laid back, pretty chill, and we're not really, I guess, expecting a whole lot, but it's kind of the way we roll. But
Adam,
once
I got a
again,
question for you.
oh, look at
What's
that
up?
right off the bat.
How
Let's
much
go.
bench? All of it? Is it all of
Oh
it?
yeah.
It's all of it, isn't it?
Yeah, all of it, right? I don't lift for strength. I've got kind of like bad leverages. I got narrow shoulders and long arms, which is challenging for strength. So I always just trained for like hypertrophy and muscle growth. But I would do like 305 on incline at my best for 4 to 6.
Wow.
That's all?
Yeah, only in my only in my dreams. Oh
So
man.
so I do want to ask you though, Adam, because you come from a background that's not like kind of typical for RC hobbyists. Um, you do have a background with some weightlifting, bodybuilding. How, first of all, how'd you get into that? And then how did you shift from there into RCs?
Yeah, so there's some interrelated stories there. So I'll try to kind of won't twine these together here. So growing up, I was always into dirt bikes and four wheelers. I grew up in northern Maine. So we didn't have a whole lot to do. We would ride four wheelers and dirt bikes back and forth to each other's houses. And that was like our primary mode of transportation when we were young kids and adolescents. And then I eventually got into motocross racing. So I kind of took that to the next level. I've always been a very competitive person. So I got into competitive motocross racing and started racing the local New England circuit, traveling up and down all over New England, doing the NEMX circuit. And then I went out to California and did Supercross for a brief period of time. And then eventually I found that I was going to run out of money before my talent reached the point where it was self-sustaining. So I was looking for a competitive outlet, and I had been weight training and was into fitness to stay in shape and be strong for motocross. So I kind of threw myself into weightlifting after the motocross kind of era ended. And similar, I'm a very kind of like monomaniacally focused person. Like when I do something, it's all in. So like I was like all into the motocross, and then when that ended, I was all into the weightlifting. And again, the competitive side, found out that there was local competitive shows, drug tested shows, because I'm a natural athlete. I always believe in staying healthy for longevity purposes. So there were drug tested local shows, and I started competing in that division, and then did that for about 12 years until I accomplished my goals there, which was to turn professional in a couple different classes. Actually, I did men's physique and then the classic physique, which is more the classic bodybuilding. But then, so that was always just kind of parallel and then in the background, and I always looked at fitness as a way to kind of enhance my life. So I feel like it's a metaphor for life, the gym. It's like you go and you put in sweat equity, you get what you put into it, and I think that translates a lot into life. So it's kind of like my career was kind of going along at the same time, and then I got a job here in Cape Cod in 2019. So we moved here 2019, and here on the Cape, I don't know if any of you guys have been to the Cape Cod, but you drive Jeeps on the beach. So I got here and I saw people driving their Wranglers and stuff with the roof off on the beach, and I was like, that's my jam right there. I was like, I want that
That's
so
my
bad.
jam.
Yep. So I bought a Wrangler in 2019 and had that for a couple years, and then the Gladiator came out. And
Ah,
I thought
mm.
that's even cooler, right? It's a Jeep. It's got a truck bed. I can haul stuff in it from Home Depot for the house. So I got my blue Gladiator, which I love, my Rubicon Gladiator. And then so I'm always looking for like Jeep memorabilia and stuff and trinkets and things like that, and collectibles, Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
I came across the Axial SCX-24 Jeep Gladiator when they released it. It's like popped up in my news feed somewhere on YouTube or social media.
And it just
And
happened to be the same color as your 1-to-1, right?
it was the
And
Rubicon, same
there was your
color.
first problem.
Yep. I was like, that is super cool. So I was like, that
Yeah.
I got to check that out. And then I Googled it and it was $125 or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm not paying that for a toy, right? I was like, there's no way. But then I started watching the videos and looking, and then turns out there was a hobby shop literally less than a mile and a half from my house.
Adam,
And
let me cut in real quick. Let me ask you
yeah,
this question. You just mentioned you started watching the videos. What channels, what videos were you watching back then?
I
Let's
like
give some shout outs to those guys.
yeah, so it's 2FMRC. So
Oh, Matt's awesome.
yeah,
For sure. That's cool.
Matt's been like my go-to ever since. And then, that was for the minis. And then I found Scale Builders Guild, and then
Mhm.
Greg,
Nice.
Greg at RC Driver, which Greg has turned out to be a great mentor of mine throughout this process. So
Yeah.
those were the three. So when, I think we'll get into the YouTube stuff later, but yeah, those were the three most impactful to me initially, and kind of how I modeled my channel after. But yeah, I started watching those videos, and then the hobby shop was literally almost in my backyard. They had them there, and I picked one up. My family was out of town. I remember it vividly. My family was out of town, so I just grabbed one, figured I'd try it and kill some time while they were traveling. And then I tried it out, and I was hooked. Like done. That was it. Like I was like watching it move around and seeing the mechanics and everything, because I've always been a really kind of like kinetic person, I guess. Like I really like to see mechanics and understand mechanics, and to watch the articulation of the suspension and the linkage, and to see all the moving parts look so real. I mean, I was done at that point. Then you found out I could upgrade them, and down the rabbit hole I went.
And the
That's all
rest
she
is
wrote.
history. Yeah,
That's it.
for sure. I think it's funny because my son, I have a Jeep too. I lifted it, did all the work myself, and having my son learn about the RCs and the way those suspension works, they're very similar to 1-to-1s, right? And so he was able to help me and know exactly what everything was, and lift not only my pickup truck, my F-150, but my Wrangler as well. And it really does have true life, experience, I guess.
It does,
So
yeah. Transferable skills, right? Especially on Jeeps that are so mechanically simple. You got
yeah,
a straight axle, you've got the triangulated suspension, the coilovers, the thing that it's really similar to the real thing, and it translates for sure.
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
Yep.
Sorry,
We've
I'm
got some
trying.
smart Alex here,
Yeah,
asking about my workout routine.
yeah, and
I
mine
So
know.
I do a lot of curls, as I'm lifting food into my mouth.
like
You were
this.
talking about, and drinks as well. You were talking about putting in at the gym, and you get back, and I just put in all the calories, and it's not healthy. But that's my life.
Story of my life. I love it. I'm trying to get through many comments as possible, guys. We'll try to get to everybody's, and we'll have a little segment at the end where we can go through some comments. But so I apologize up front if we didn't don't get to your comments. We're doing our best. What's next on the thing? I got signed out again, at Chaz. So of course I had to sign back in and lost track of things.
Well, all right. So you've already touched on what your first RC was. I want to touch on it a little bit, not yet, but I want to touch on what your favorite is, and I think it might be the one I'm waiting to see anyway. Um, but what's your favorite thing about the hobby? Let's start with that.
I think there's a couple of things. It's very meditative to me. I find it to be like an escape. I have a high pressure job and a lot of responsibility. So for me, when I get to go out and just kind of get in that zone, it's really relaxing and kind of restorative. For me, I also mentioned like the process of building and modifying is so satisfying. Like you can have a vision in your head, right, of what you want to create, especially with the SCX-24 as the smaller scales, because the sky's the limit on that. You can really let your imagination go, and they're inexpensive enough that you can just experiment. So I love the building process where you can put thought and imagination into something and you can see it become a tangible thing, and then you can go drive it and actually experience it. I think that's tremendously rewarding and very therapeutic for me. The community is incredible. I love the RC community is unbelievable. That was one of the things that really I was taken aback by initially, was how friendly and open and warm the community is. I rode Harleys for a long time. I hope to get one again this summer, but I think about like the Harley culture and the same thing with Jeeps. Like you've got these subcultures in these communities, but the warmth of the RC hobby is like nothing that I've experienced in any of these other things. It's just a great group of people.
A lot of good folks, man.
Yeah.
And I can attest to the Jeep community. Like, this is our third Jeep. We had an XJ and then a Grand Cherokee and now the JLU. And the Jeep community is almost as good as the RC community. They, especially here in Utah, where we have Moab and whatnot, they just welcomed us in. We've gone on a lot of expeditions with people we didn't even know before. So very, very good community. And that's one of my favorite, I know Chaz's favorite things about the RC hobby is community, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, as a Jeep guy, what's your stance on getting ducked?
My son loves it. Yeah, I think it's fun to share. It's fun to share with him. I'm not super into it. We do it
Yeah.
just for fun, but yeah, and I don't have a dash full of ducks. I'll tell you that.
That's
I'm
what
kind
we
of
do
glad to
for
hear
fun.
that.
Yeah.
For fun. We have 5 on our dash, and I won't let the
Yeah.
kids put any more up there. I said that's enough. It's fill out the center section. We're good. Quickly, Ken over the Shop Mini RC has suggested that you need to make it out to one of the big events, Adam.
I do. I think we're going to touch on events a little later, right? That was
We
one of the
are.
questions we talked about. But yes, my goal in 25, which is a bummer that a lot of them got canceled this year because I
Mhm.
had really
Yep.
earmarked some travel to go to some events. But I am going to make it out to some major events in the next 12 months for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're excited to see you out there, and I know you have an insanely busy schedule, um, but yeah, you're kind of a local or the community celebrity. I mean, I've been watching you for a while now. I've been talking to you for a while ever since you did. I went back in doing this and watched one of the first videos you did on our product, and I'm like, man, that thing was like forever ago. And it was 2 years ago, I think. So, so very cool. And it's an amazing hobby and amazing community. Um, Articulation Nation.
Yeah, we've had some comments already about people saying that they've learned a lot about articulation from you.
Articulation. Yeah.
How much
Yes.
flex is too much flex, Adam?
I don't know. I mean, is there ever so much thing as too much? I mean, certainly from a fun perspective, I don't think you can ever get too much, and that's really what it was all about for me. It was like that I mentioned like getting lost in kind of watching the mechanics and everything. And then it's kind of like, can you take it to that extreme and what's possible with these little things and getting to like, 90-degree vertical axle flex is
Yeah,
super fun and just trying to achieve what is completely bonkers on a real vehicle, and just pushing the limits and having a lot of fun. Again, to me, it's just like that that meditative state when you just see the vehicle's going straight, but when you see the axles just moving independently, like I just loved it. I loved
yeah,
it. I still do. I'm not so much chasing the flex now, but I still have all of my ones that like the Bronco and the Gladiator. I still have them, and when I want to just put have a big smile on my face and just have fun, those are my go-to.
nice.
Ironically, growing up in Utah, we had Three Peaks, we had Moab. That's what I grew up watching when I went to these competitions as a kid, was the flex. And I was amazed that you can take a vehicle that you can drive in and flex literally on that type of terrain. And that's what my fascination, and obviously your fascination with articulation, they're kind of along the same lines. I'm just amazed at how much you can actually do that, especially in a one-to-one.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it is. It's nuts that we can take a vehicle like a Jeep or a Bronco. I know there's been some Jeep Bronco banter in the comments, um, and take that and go the places like, for example, Moab. That you can take a vehicle that we've created, that man has created. It's amazing to me. So that's where my love for the articulation comes. Now, rightly so, we admit it's probably not the best for comping, or if you're into that, but it's definitely something that fascinates me.
We have some
Yeah.
pretty big ditches here in Indiana.
I don't know if that quite counts, Chaz, but okay.
Listen, I have flexed quite a bit driving through some ditches.
In your minivan?
No, in my Ford Fusion.
Oh, Ford Fusion.
You guys can
even
have your
worse.
Jeeps. I'm taking the front wheel drive sedan.
I love it.
Yeah, up
That's
here in New
fun.
England, we got potholes. We just do the same thing in potholes.
Hey, I hear you on that one.
Hey, let's see here. So I wanted to ask you, is this, and I follow you pretty closely. I have since day one. Sorry, Chaz, I'm fanboying out here a little bit. No,
How dare you? So unprofessional.
my son was going nuts. You got Adam on the channel because he's religious too. I'm like, yeah. Is this your first time being on another show? I mean, I know you've been on a couple of YouTube channels and episodes, but as far as a live show, you didn't do a whole lot of live stuff.
No, I don't. The only thing that I've done close to this, I did the Cow RC. I think there was like their tech talk. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I did a show with Cow RC last year. That was the only other one.
Cool. I was just curious because I know a lot of people. This is a unique experience because there's not a ton of Adam from Cape Crawlers on live shows. So once
Yeah.
again, I'm grateful for that because I've been meaning, you were kind of the top of our list when we were talking about having guests on the show. So
I appreciate it. I'd love to do more of the live stuff, but yeah, it's just again with my work schedule and everything, it's really
yeah,
challenging. But I really appreciate what you're doing, Sam, and we've been close for a while. So anything to help you guys out, I'm happy to do it.
well, thank
And
you,
you got
Adam.
some
I
other
really appreciate it.
collaborations in the works, right, Adam?
I do, yeah. So that's a goal of mine for this year also was to really start working with some other creators and start getting out there and interacting more with the community and with like little guy racing parts. I'm going to do more with this year and some different companies and things like that. I want to get out to Pennsylvania. I want to see like Money Pit RC. I want to go out and see Zach. I want to go see Trey. And then I hope to get further south so I can, I'd like to hit Beat the Creek and like to meet a bunch of the folks out there. Matt at 2FM, I really want to get down south and hang out with him too. So I'm really hoping to do more collaborative stuff this year. And I might try doing some lives. I've just got to it's one of the things like you just got to commit to it. Like you guys
Yeah.
are you're 10 episodes in, you just got to get your rhythm. You got to find the time, make the time, and then get in your groove. So I might try it more, we'll see, but I really like the person to person interaction and I want to get out there and meet people.
It's fun.
Honestly,
It's a lot different than making like standard videos.
100%. And that's why Chaz and I decided to do this, is because we love the community much like you, and we wanted to get out in the community. And this is a great way to interact with the community if the technology doesn't be dumb.
Yeah, we've had I think one smooth show in 10 so far.
Well, hopefully this one, we hope.
But we've got it figured out. Now we're
Yeah,
professionals.
now we're
Don't
professionals.
try this at home. We are trained professionals.
That's true. Well, at least we're trying to be trained professionals.
So Adam, I'm
Um,
going to steer away from RC again.
Yep.
I got another question, and hopefully it's not too personal, but I think it's fair game because you've shared or you've shown kind of your family dynamic a little bit on your channel. So you've got Axel, your son,
Mhm.
and then you've got was it 2 or 3 grandkids as well?
I got 6.
6.
Holy
Yeah.
cow!
Holy
Yep.
cow!
Wow!
Yep.
And they're kind of like around the same age, right?
I got 6 grandkids, all under the age of 7.
Wow!
Well,
Wow!
it's not true. So what the oldest just turned 8. So they're between 1 and 8, all 6 of them.
Wow. So what's that like? So do they live nearby? And what's that like for Axel being able to grow up with his well, I guess are those his nieces and nephews?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They live in Maine. So my wife and I were both born and raised in Maine. And we ironically grew up about 45 minutes from each other and didn't meet until we were in our 20s. But our both of our extended families and immediate families are still in Maine. So our whole family's up there. Thankfully, it's about a 5-hour drive. So
Okay.
she goes up there with Axel more frequently than I do. But I wish we were closer where they could spend more time together and we could be up there more. But when the kids get together, man, it's just like it's the best. Like they have so much fun. They get along together so well. And there's even more like there's extended family all have kids. Like I think trying to do that. I think there's almost 20 kids all under the age of 10 in that
Wow!
family. So when they get together, it is like the heaven on earth for the kids. Like they love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
One of my
getting
favorite
overwhelmed
episodes,
just
by the
thinking
way.
about it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite episodes is when you put your grandson and your kid on your track and just let them go haywire.
Yeah.
That was to me, that's a big part of the hobby, is spending time with my son. He's 17 now, so he's a little bit older, but it truly is one of my favorite aspects. Besides the friends and the community and the people like you, Adam and Chaz, my favorite part is spending time with my son.
Yeah. And this is if they are interested in it, this is a great avenue for it. You know, it's
Yeah.
a great hobby to be in family with. I think it's awesome. So yeah,
100%.
I'm gonna take advantage of it as long as I can for sure.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Definitely.
that. I like to
That's
say
awesome.
18 summers. 18 summers.
Yep.
All right. I love it. Shifting gears a little bit back to the crawler scene. What's your favorite scale to build and why?
To build, I think it's still the 24 scale or the 18 scale. I think the small scale still has it when it comes to building because you aren't necessarily bound by the rules of physics that you are with a 10th scale. So,
True.
and what I mean by that is like you can 3D print some crazy stuff in the small scale. Like you can really go wild with the chassis and the linkage and all the components. Like I look at Texoma RC, what he
Oh,
does with his builds, like the imagination and the creativity that you can do in the small scale is so wild. But that stuff doesn't translate as you go up through scale because you've got so much more weight and so much more power that's not going to hold up when you get into the larger scales. So I think from a building perspective, it's still more fun to do the small scale because you have such a breadth of stuff that you can do, and the cost of entry is still low. And I still think I always, when I was new messing with these things, I always thought, well, there's really not a lot I can do to this thing that I can't fix for $100. And
Yeah.
right.
that's a pretty good incentive to try new things, right? Like you're not going to break the bank if you ruin something. And I
Right.
think that's a big draw for the 24 scale is that you can experiment and not feel bad if you ruin something.
Right. Well, I know you and you're the one that introduced me to flex blades. I know early on we had a couple conversations about the flex blades, which my OG build was inspired by you. Thank you very much, Adam.
Nice.
My Gladiator has flex blades on the back still to this day. Um, but can you imagine putting flex blades on a 1-to-1?
No. Yeah. The the suspension geometry and everything, like you've got to really pay attention to the suspension geometry
Correct.
and how things work in the larger scales, and you don't have to worry so much in the smaller ones, and I like that.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
can't even imagine putting flex blades on like a SEX 6, let alone a
Oh man.
1-to-1.
Can
Yeah.
you, they'd be like this big. Oh man. So yeah, that's obviously that's my favorite scales, the 18th and 24th. They're both very forgiving, and the cost. That's what really got me into it because I couldn't afford to go buy a SCX 10 even, or let alone a 6. But the cost of entry makes it very approachable, and I love playing past the transmitter and giving other people a chance to get into the hobby. And so that's really where my passion is because of those the cost to entry essentially. People can afford that.
Yeah, it's so accessible.
Very, very much accessible. Moving on, I know Chaz is waiting for this next question, and I'm gonna let him ask it.
Adam, what's your favorite build? What's your favorite rig that you have to date?
He's so excited about this.
Yeah, I think you probably know the answer. I think at the moment it changes a lot because I'm very fortunate that I get to build some cool stuff and I get to work with some great people. But the the flavor of the week, and I think it's going to be that way for a long time, is the Venge RC, the hard park motor on axle build that I did just recently. I mean, this has been a vision of mine for years. I remember, and I could go back to the text messages. I remember texting Nick at Mofo RC saying I wanted to do a dual motor MOA build on SCX 24, and then here we are, like 2 years later. So, and it has blown me away, like the quality of like the Venge RC, the 1.8 wheels, and the chassis, and then these hard park axles that were released. I mean, the thing is just nuts, and the capabilities that you get with I mean, brushless motor on axles in a 24 scale. I mean, it's crazy, the
Yeah.
capability out of it. It's so much fun. I love it.
It's so mean looking and it's clean too. Because there's no
Super clean.
wires, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
minimal wires.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing in it. So it's just got, I could do the battery on axle. So you got a real small battery on axle setup. I got that real tiny radio link receiver down there. And then it's just the Dinky RC ESC. So there's nothing to it. And like you said, there's no wires. You can run the wires right up your linkage.
Yeah.
And it's just extremely clean, and just it came out so good. I'm just so pumped with it. And what was really cool about this too is that I started it, and then I got such great feedback from the community. Like it evolved so quickly, and now I feel like it's in such better shape because of the feedback that I got from the community on those videos. So really
Yeah.
grateful for the feedback that I got, and this thing is all the better for it.
And what wheelbase are you running with that? What I know you've got some crazy did you go goblin links? Is that what you did?
I went Goblin links, and then I mounted them pretty high up on the chassis, so that's what helped me stretch it. So it would have been like it's a C10, it's a C bolt
C-bolt, right? Yeah.
linkage setup, but I've stretched it pretty significantly, so it's probably like a 180 wheelbase, I would guess. I'd have to put it on the table to see for sure.
I love
Cool.
that thing. That is so good.
Jump
Yeah,
into the
I
comments
dig
really
it.
quick. Cody wants to know what number your Betty is.
Oh, I'd have to take it out and look. I think it's like 4550 or something like that. It's right in that range.
That's one I missed out on. It hit just before I got into the crawlers where you're still doing airplanes. So
It
Emmett
had
has
come and
one.
gone. It had come
Yeah.
and gone by the time I got in, but I did buy a parts lot and there was a Betty frame in there.
Oh,
So I do have a Betty frame
that's cool.
for for what it's worth.
So I scored that one on the Facebook Marketplace for $200 unopened, and
Nice.
it was just a couple. I got it 2 or 3 months ago. I scored it because I creep in online for one of those for a long time as a collector's item, and that was a good score.
Yeah.
I've been looking for one too. So if you see one, on my way.
All right. So I got another one for you.
Go ahead.
You do a lot of crazy custom builds like that. I mean, pretty extreme, top of the line stuff like that. And I mean, I think that I could probably assume, but just to give you the chance to kind of put it in your own words and put it out there, what is one mod that every good crawler should have?
Wheels and tires. Yeah, I would do, and I think that translates across all scales and virtually all platforms. I think if you don't have a good set of wheels and tires, the rest of it's kind of, it's going to suffer, because if you can't put that down to the ground, I don't
Yeah.
think there's much else that really matters. So that's my go-to. If I was only going to do one mod on a rig, it would be wheels and tires.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. I
Completely
think
agree with
most
that.
of us are in agreement
Yeah.
on that for sure.
Yeah. It's hard to just stop with one, but that's definitely probably about the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some plans for Cape crawlers in the future?
Oh man. I got a lot of big plans. I think I really want to kind of transcend the niche that we're in. So one of the things that I really am looking at and exploring, and I'm making some good connections. So I'm hoping to have some big announcements in the next. It's going to take me a little while, because you start jumping into the big ponds that I'm trying to play in. It's going to take a little while to make this happen, but I really want to get into more mainstream and collaborate with some bigger companies, some bigger influencers. I want to kind of help bring RC more to the mainstream. And I think the best way to kind of break out and do that is to collaborate with some big name brands and big name influencers, non-RC related. So I'm working on some really cool stuff coming in, and hopefully in the next calendar year, I can put some of this together. But we're gonna try to transcend kind of what I've been in this niche for now, and then see if we can break out, hit a much bigger audience, and bring more attention to the hobby. That's what I'm looking to do.
Sounds like
That's-
it's too early to talk about it, but just kind of blink once if it's like Cletus McFarland. You blinked, I thought.
Or Whistling Diesel, maybe.
We'll see. So my son-in-law is Jacob Knowles, and Jacob Knowles, who's the TikTok lobsterman, who's got he's got 3 million TikTok followers, he's got 2 million plus YouTube subscribers, he's got good connections. So I'm trying to leverage that relationship as much as I can to get some good relationships going, some good opportunities.
That's awesome.
That is
Reach out
awesome.
to some of your old motocross buds and hook them up with some Losi Pro motos. You guys go racing some off-road tracks.
That's it. Yeah, you hit it right there. So it's like I'm looking at what is transferable to more mainstream sports and mainstream kind of icons. Where can I build a custom rig that matches like someone's 1-to-1, and then maybe I go and deliver it to them, and we do a collab video, and I do a series leading up to it. That's the type of stuff that I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am working on something very similar, and I'm waiting on the guy to get back with me. I'm going to put him on blast right now. So I'm friends with a former IndyCar driver, and he has challenged me to an RC race. And so he has a video in his possession that I'm waiting to post with the conditions of our race. I just need him to sign off on it. So I'm just going to put him on blast right now. Tony, I need you to sign off on that. Okay.
Good luck with that, Chas. Good luck with that. I think it's interesting, Adam. You come from a extreme sport in motocross racing. Ironically, a van from the Micro Crawler Club comes from extreme sports as well. He started out in mountain boarding. So I think maybe it's something in the hobby. I didn't come from I rodeoed a little bit. That's about it. I mean,
you did what?
I have a horse. I rodeoed in high school.
I knew you had a horse. I did not know you rodeo. Those things don't necessarily go hand in hand.
But yes, I grew up around horses. I grew up on a farm. I rodeoed in high school. So that was my extreme sport. I didn't do any of the rough stock. I just did team roping, that type of stuff. So anyway,
that's pretty. I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Maybe there's a little connection there.
Yep.
Between extreme sports and RC hobbyists, maybe, huh?
I like to watch
um,
extreme sports. Is that the same thing?
in your lazy boy.
Oh man, listen, I got to do something, man. I need to make some life changes. That's what I need to do.
um, what does the scene look like in your neck of the woods? What does the Cape crawler scene look like? What does the RC community look like?
Oh man, I saw your latest video, dude, and the course got trashed. That's a bummer, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
wicked,
that's
wicked.
horrible.
Yeah, and the guys, the local guys, so the community here, we've got a really good group of local guys here. It's a small group. There's probably 5 to 10 pretty hardcore guys, but they're great. And a lot of them are landscapers, and a handful of them are anyways. So in the off season, they built that place, and they're like diehard, and like they're out there in the middle of February in New England, all big hats and gloves and everything, and they're still out there going. So they're diehard, and they're a great group of guys. And it's pretty because we don't have a hobby shop locally that you can go and run the tracks or anything like that. Like that spot that I feature a lot is really our go-to place. And they've built race tracks there, like basher tracks and off-road tracks, and then the crawler spot. So it was really man, it's wicked unfortunate to see that it got destroyed, but we'll rebuild it. We'll get it going again. A lot of it is still intact. Good thing about rocks, man, is that they're hard to break, so you could just
Yeah.
reconfigure them again. But
For sure.
the Cape's tough because there's not a lot here for rocky stuff like that. And then if you go off Cape in kind of northern Massachusetts, like we've got RC Excitement in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. They're awesome. They've got an awesome shop up there, and there's a good community of folks in northern, kind of northwestern Massachusetts. There's a good group of guys out there that's big, and same like one-to-one wheeling's big out there too. So there's some, and I think that translates too. A lot of those are the same guys. But Massachusetts is good. New England is good. It's just a little sparse on the Cape for RC, unfortunately.
So, do they host any like comps or trail runs or anything in your area, like that course that got trashed or anything like that? Did they have anything lined up there?
No, I had talked about doing a meetup there and doing kind of like a community trail run, but it never materialized. And then, so we'll see when maybe we get it rebuilt. We'll see where it goes. It's touchy because it's like I'm not really sure who owns the land, and there's not a parking lot. You have to park on the side of the road and walk it in. So orchestrating parking and transportation and stuff would be challenging there. And we used to have a hobby shop not far from here, Reckless Hobbies, that had a crawler course, and they would do competitions and meetups and events and things. But it burned down in January, and
Oh,
I don't know what Sean's plan is to rebuild it. So right now, and then the next one, it's 2 hours to the closest one beyond that has a track and events and things. So it's tough.
So
wow.
you've been doing a one man competition on your channel lately, and we can see how the rig's performing with the king of the course, right? That's what you went
Yep.
with. So we get to see how the rig's performing. How do you think that has worked out? Has that been kind of what you envisioned? Has it been different? Like, I mean, what's been your takeaway with that?
The takeaway, I'll be fully transparent with you guys. It was a little disappointing initially when that launched because I got a lot of pushback for doing that, and I got a lot of
Yeah.
negativity from that because of Trey doing roast and rigs. That's kind of like his MO, right? Like
Right.
he pioneered that style of video. So it got a lot of heat when it came out, but I was committed to doing it and seeing it through. And my approach to it is a little different, where it's a more of an objective competition style, more analytical. And I'm going to give away prizes and stuff like that through the classes. So tried to put my own spin on it. It was disappointing at first, but man, getting to interact with people and hearing from folks, like they send in letters and getting to interact with people through email and text message, and having their build like in my hands, like Michael, I think I saw Michael in the comments from RC Crawling, having that power wagon that I follow on Instagram, like see, and then
Yep.
having it on my bench is super cool. So
Yeah.
I I like the community feel that it's created, and it's been a lot of fun to see such variety because we as builders, I think we develop our own style, and it's very easy to kind of get your blinders on, right? Like you find what works for you and what you like, and then getting my hands on something that's totally different has really opened my eyes to a more perspective from a building perspective, and then learning what tires work best and wheelbase and motors, like the dinky RCs and like the big kid tiny truck electronics. I never would have had any exposure to that. I might have eventually, but getting to try these smaller creator parts has been really cool. So on the whole, I really enjoy it and I'm glad I did it. It was a tremendous amount of work to get through. I think I've got 50 trucks now that I've recorded that I'm still working through my backlog.
Wow.
Um,
Jeez.
so and I got wicked backlogged. I had a stack of boxes that I had to get through, and holding people's trucks for ransom, it felt like was really tough. So once I got through the self-imposed stress that it caused and working my way through the videos, now I'm really enjoying the process and I'm excited to get to the finish line. I think I'm going to wrap it up probably around July, August will be the last of the videos, and then we'll do a big giveaway, which I'm looking
Nice.
forward to. And then we'll see. I'm not sure what the future holds for the KOTC. I'd like to do the larger scale, but I'm gonna have to build a new course because the 18th scales are too capable for
Yeah.
the indoor course. It would come down to just like a time challenge. I think they would just
Right.
steamroll everything. So it'll be a summer project to overhaul the course, and then we'll see if I do the larger scale.
So
I
you
agree
touched
with
on
our.
this. Oh, sorry, Sam.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree with RC for Days. King of the Course are some of my favorite videos that you've done. Not that any of the other ones are. Obviously, the crawler tracks ones are my favorite, but the King of the Course are. I'm a little biased. The King of the Course are definitely some of. It's been a great series, and I've enjoyed every single one of them.
I'm glad to hear that. That encourages me to keep going.
Yeah,
Well, and to your point, the like when you opened up what you were saying, Adam, I'm glad that you pushed on through the negativity and the backlash because
absolutely.
I saw it and I was disappointed to see it. And yes, like I still had like that initial like, okay, so he's doing what Trey's doing, but it wasn't like oh, he's copying Trey. There are so many similarities between different YouTube channels and things like that. Like it's not, I don't know. I didn't look at it in a negative way, but there was that connection because there's some similarities, right? And to your point, like it's a different format and you're doing different things with it. So I'm glad that you pushed through and didn't kind of cave to that pressure. So I'm definitely glad about that.
I am
But
as
like,
well. That's amazing that because even when I started doing YouTube, and I have a small following compared to anybody else out there, there was some negativity, right? Even some videos I messed up that I was still learning, and even though I've doing videos my whole life, yeah. So pushing through the negativity is definitely something that is admirable in my eyes.
Yeah, and I do just want to add, I mean, I do want to give a huge shout out to Trey at 24 Yep. I mean, he really I've been asked to do this for a very long time. For years, I've been asked to take people's rigs and put them on the course, and I never pulled the trigger. But he showed me that it was logistically possible, and that it was a viable option. So I mean, props to him, man, for really trying something new and really putting it out there. And he does a great job. So I love Trey. I'm good friends with him. I hope to get together with him in person. The intention was certainly not to copy him, but I definitely took inspiration from him because he showed me that it was possible.
yeah.
So he paved the way.
And you touched on this. So when you're looking at different people's rigs, because like you said, like we kind of get, I don't want to say in a rut, but we do get our own style whenever we're building rigs and customizing and modding and things like that. So have you seen somebody's truck that they've sent in for the King of the Core series to where you look at it, it's like, oh, I've never seen that, or I've never tried that, or I'm going to take this idea.
Some of the ones, when I think about some of the ones that have been so outrageous, like there's some class 3 ones that are coming up that are like bonkers. But and I think about like that crazy class 3 Endura build that I'm blanking on his name right now, but the thing looked so haggard and like mangled, but it just cleaned house so hard. Like it was
That's awesome.
crazy. So yeah, I mean that was one of the things that like because I'm a very aesthetic guy. Like I really like the nice clean, almost factory look, but to have something that's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't always have to look pretty. Like maybe you can sacrifice here and the thing can throw down. So it's really incorporating some more performance focused approaches to it and not judging a book by its cover for sure. Like you see these things that may look like beaters online or whatever, or you open the box and it's like, oh my God, it's like, what is this thing, you know? And
Is this
then
gonna fall apart in my hands?
right. And then it just like lights it up on the course is super cool. So yeah, you know, tire choices, one of the biggest things that I've really kind of trended towards now is looking at smaller tires. Like that was a big thing that I always been looking at, like the 64s, the 68 millimeter tires that have
Mhm,
come out recently. But
mhm.
seeing how rigs perform with the 57 millimeters and the 60 millimeters, I've kind of gone back to, you know, the shorter travel shocks and the smaller tires, that lower center of gravity, and it just works really well. And that's not something that
Yeah.
I would have pursued from a performance perspective. I would have continued to gone like the bigger is better route.
What would you think of C10 fronts on the front and rear with 70 millimeter hobby sold
I,
tires?
I saw that thing. That's nothing exceeds like excess, right? And that's up there.
Oh,
This is a
Chaz.
very custom one of one build. I worked with a guy, Eric Newhouse Jr., to design a body for me. My brother and my dad were at a car show in Sacramento. I don't know, like a year and a half ago, and they took a picture of this very custom, like one to one vehicle. And I knew that it would make a cool crawler, but I never figured I'd be able to like make the body to figure it out. And it worked. And so now I'm working on making this build, and it looks bonkers. And it's not going to perform, but it's going to be really cool.
It looks ridiculous, is what it
Mhm.
does. It really does. That's awesome.
Greystone says bad combo. It is a bad
Yeah,
combo. I agree.
very bad combo. Well, and
Mhm.
the Lunar Rover wasn't a great combo either, but it looked cool.
No, but it's still cool though.
It's very cool. Speaking of bad combo, beginners, what is your advice now that you've been doing this for a while and you have 170,000 followers on YouTube? What is your advice for someone who wants to get into microcrawling?
Hide your wallet for one. Um,
True story. True
yeah.
story.
Now, I think the microcrawlers are a great gateway drug. You know, and it's great to, you know, be patient when you get it. Like it's not going to blow your head off performance wise out of the box. Some of them now are extremely good, though. I will say, but be patient. Give it some time and see if you really like it. I wouldn't dive straight into modifying it. You know, I'd get to learn it and make sure that you really enjoy it. Be start before you start throwing money at it. But otherwise, yeah, just keep an open mind, have fun, and learn the hobby. Learn how to work on them. Get yourself a good hardware kit and a good tool kit, and learn the ins and outs of it. And then just kind of, you know, gradually start expanding from there. But, you know, I think just have fun and be patient. I think patience is key with the little ones because they can get frustrating at times when if you're not, especially if you're not used to them, working on them, building them, things like that. So have fun and be patient would be my two key takeaways there.
Can
And
you
don't
tell
over
that to
tighten
my
the
son,
hardware.
Cade? Don't
Yeah.
over tighten the hard zone. But you need to tell that to my son, Cade. He's
Mm.
watching now. I know he is. And he gets so frustrated when things don't work out. But
Yeah.
overall, and you're going to see it soon, overall, we pursued and he's got a great little rig. He really does.
Sam, what screen name is he using tonight?
I don't know. He changes that on the regular. I think it's the we posted. He asked a question. I think that's the one. RC for days. I guarantee that's him.
Oh,
There he is. Oh, don't call me out, Dad. Hey, you know I love you, and you just got to be patient. And he's doing. He really did the rig, and you'll see it, Adam. The rig he came up with, and he did all the work. Everything's him, and it really is probably the best performer we have. It
I'm
really
pumped to
is.
see it.
So
Yeah, I'm looking
we're
forward to it.
we're excited. Um, uh, common mistakes hobbyists make, real quick.
I think it's a lot of people, they'll get into it and they'll kitchen sink it, right? And what I mean by that is that you'll buy $200 or $300 worth of upgrades right away, or
Yeah.
even go deeper than that. I think a better approach, and I learned this the hard way too. Like you just go nuts with these things. It's too easy to do. But I think rather than just throwing everything at it right off the bat, it's better to take an iterative approach because you don't know what works if you just throw a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
And if you will reach a point of diminishing returns where you're just throwing money down a rabbit hole. So I think taking an iterative approach, do like the big five, right? That I have like my first five mods. Like you do
Mm.
kind of like do the basic stuff that addresses the main shortcomings of a lot of these things. And then slowly start to work on it. Like you drive it in different conditions, see where the shortcomings are, see where you want more performance, and address those as you go along. Don't just throw everything at it. So I think there's a learning experience and kind of a technical learning experience that you get when you address problems as they arise with purposeful upgrades is what I would say.
Well, and a lot of it depends on your your environment too, right? So in particularly I'm talking about tires, like some people might love Patagonias because the kind of rocks that they have where they live, they hook up really good. But maybe they don't hook up, on like sandstone or limestone or something like that, like where I live. And so it's tough whenever people rely on, influencers and things like that to say, oh, these are the best tires. Eh, it's hard to say that because there are people around the world that have different environments and things like that. And to your point, like you have to try and see what works.
100%. And Moab, great example is Moab. What works here in Utah is definitely not going to work out where you guys
On the East Coast, yeah.
are on the East Coast. 100%, right? And so you have to, and I think it's either Ken or Van, one of the two have been a big proponent of that. They always get asked, "What tires do you use? What tires do you use?" Well, it depends on what you're crawling, right? And for example, the wooden obstacles we produce, they're not going to work great with obstacles that may perform on rocks. It's just
Yeah.
not. So you really have to customize it for what you plan on doing with the rig and what you plan on doing, what you plan on crawling on, what
Yeah.
type of terrain.
And that goes for suspension too. I mean, a belly dragger, if you're running on jagged rocks, a belly dragger is going to get caught up.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, here he goes. I hate doing tire reviews, and that's
Yeah.
why, and that's exactly why.
Yeah.
So, it does. It depends on the train and stuff. So, um, last question in the new tips for beginners. If I am a new beginner, brand new to the hobby, brand new to YouTube, what advice would you give, Adam, being a major influencer at this point, if I wanted to start a YouTube channel? I'm going to be writing these down, by the way, because I want to go. I know you had a tips and tricks video, but
Because this
be,
is for science.
this is for science. Beyond that, what would you give to someone who wants to start a YouTube channel? What
Oh
advice?
boy, man, I think we could do a whole podcast on this. I be authentic. Number one is be authentic and do not try to be. I mentioned earlier on that, I took influence from kind of my three favorite channels at the time, but I didn't try to be Greg. I didn't try to be Matt.
Correct.
And I took what I liked from their channels and I incorporated it with my own styles. And I think the internet can smell inauthenticity a mile away. So don't think that you're going to be able to outsmart your audience. And even if you can for a video or two, it's not sustainable. So for longevity, for your own sanity and enjoyment, you've just got to be yourself. So
100%.
and some people are good teachers. Maybe they're not a Kevin Talbot where they're super entertaining and charismatic, but maybe you've got mad building skills and technical skills. So you've got to find what lights you up. You've got to find what your strengths are. And then you've just got to be consistent. So we talked about negativity in the beginning, and recognizing that you're gonna suck initially.
Yes.
Your
Yes,
your
it's true.
first videos are gonna bomb. They're probably gonna get like no views, and you might get crappy feedback on them. But just know that you've got to get better and better. I talk about with the same thing with building the rig. It's an iterative process. You don't you don't start excellent. And,
Right.
maybe some people hit it out of the park early. I was very fortunate. I had success very early on, but it's a craft that you work on over time, and it's just being consistent. It's being authentic. It's it's defining also what you want your channel and your brand to be. Like one of the things that before I started, like the Cape Crawlers thing, like I was very intentional about naming it something not me because I wanted it to have a brand that could live beyond me. So when Axel took it over in 10 years, I was thinking that far out. So it's not like, I'm going to make a video here, I'm going to make a video there. It's like, no, it's like, this is the brand I want to create. This is how I want to portray value and how to give value to the community. And I'm going to do this for years. And you take your punches. Like some videos are going to bomb, some are going to be evergreen and be excellent, but you roll with it, you adapt, you stay consistent, you stay true to yourself, you bring value to your audience as much as you can in your own authentic way. And I think those are the key messages I would give to someone. And just hammer, just be patient and just keep hammering on.
Yes,
For
be
sure.
patient is big. Channels don't grow overnight
Unless your
unless you're
name's
one of the
Chaz.
lucky few that has something hit and go viral. It
Right.
takes a while. And yes, Sam, I kind of I did get lucky over the course of a week and a half, and
You popped
my
off a little
channel
bit.
grew.
Yeah.
But I've been at it for a year and a half before that happened.
Yeah, it's true. I think someone, speaking of authenticity, I think someone who's really internalized that is Trey. His
Yeah.
channel, and that's why he's growing leaps and bounds because it's so authentic and people can relate to him because it's and this isn't a dig, but it's not perfect, right? You see him in
Yeah,
his intro,
it's
he
not
knocks his
polished.
stuff off, and yeah, and that's what people love. They really, really do.
Yeah, it's
And
so funny is you mentioned that it's like, I did my tips and tricks, and it's like if you look at Trey and what he's done, he violates like so many principles that people put out there for YouTube videos, like, you
yes,
know, but he's unapologetically himself, and he
Yeah.
yeah,
loves the hobby, and you can see that, and the dude's got mad skill. Is super super talented with what he does. So and that combination is relatable and people like to watch it. So I think that goes back to, finding your gifts, finding your talents, and just being yourself and just putting it out there.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Um,
Sam,
yes,
should we jump into the lightning round?
yes, let's do it. Why not?
All
All right,
right.
buddy. Here you go. These are quick yes and no questions, or this and that questions. I mean, we're going to give you two questions, and you're going to answer one or the other. Okay. So first one, I think Chaz, we're just going to alternate them. Okay.
All right.
Ford or Chevy?
Sevi,
Brushed or brushless?
brushless,
Spaghetti or lasagna?
lasagna,
Indoors or outdoors?
outdoors,
Low crawl or speed run?
low crawl,
Crawling or bashing?
crawling,
24 scale or 6 scale?
24 scale,
Lobster or crab?
lobster,
Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi,
Orange juice or apple juice?
orange juice,
Summer or winter?
summer,
Dogs or cats?
dogs,
Yeah.
City or country?
country.
Here comes the big one.
This is lame. Jeep or Bronco?
Yeah, of course, you gotta go with my Jeep here for sure.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone,
Mac or PC?
Mac,
There you go. That's my boy. Marvel or DC?
DC.
Wow, Superman,
Wow.
Batman guy, huh?
Yep.
Wow,
Oh.
that's good.
If they could make a good movie, maybe. All right.
We're not getting into that,
Okay.
Chaz.
Bring back Zack Snyder.
Onion rings or French fries?
Onion rings.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Here comes the other big one. Traxxas or Axial?
Axial.
Yeah, that a boy.
Yep.
You saw that Chaz just got a Traxxas, first one on his channel.
Yep. Yeah. I
was-
love Traxxas. They make great stuff, but
They do.
boy, I like Axial. They've
Yeah.
got it for me.
I'm with
There
you.
you go.
Portals or straight axles?
Straight axles.
Scale crawler or comp crawler?
Scale.
So, well, that kind of takes this one. Lexan or hard body?
Yeah. Yep.
I like the weight of a Lexan, but I would go hard body for the scale.
Yep.
For sure. NFL or NBA?
NFL.
But go Pacers, though.
Oh, Seahawks, buddy. Seahawks. Who's your team, Adam?
Man, I'm
Dude.
a Boston dude, so I got to stay with New England. I got to go with the Patriots.
There you go. There you go.
I'm in Indianapolis, man. Like this just hurt my soul just hearing that. The Patriots ruined 18 years of my life. Crawling or trailing?
Crawling.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Playlists or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Fire or ice?
Fire.
Camping or boating?
Camping.
Introvert or extrovert?
Oh man, if you ask Myers-Briggs, it would be extrovert, but I feel like an introvert.
Sushi or steak?
Steak.
We're coming down to the wire. Pirates or ninjas?
Ninjas.
Ninjas. Wow, that surprised me. That surprised me.
I know. I thought being on the Cape, I thought you'd go
I thought it'd be
pirates.
pirates all the way.
What is this one? Sam, is this a shot at me? Mountain Dew or coffee?
No, it's not. It's a shot at me.
Is that the question? Mountain Dew or coffee?
Yeah.
Mountain Dew or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Iron Man or Captain America?
Captain America.
There you go.
Oh, Adam. Spicy or mild?
Mild.
Yeah, there we go.
And the last one, and this is an appropriate one to end on, oil-filled or friction dampened?
I think friction is still king for me.
Really?
Yep, that's one of the takeaways from the KOTC series for me also is that I'm so surprised how many people still run the friction damp shocks and how well they do.
Wow.
That's so what happens if you empty the oil out of your oil-filled shocks? Does that count?
You'd have an expensive friction damp shock.
And yours are only what, $20? They're not that
Yeah,
bad.
right.
They're not that bad. All right,
So,
Adam.
Adam-
Well, go ahead, Chaz.
Adam, in case people have never heard of you, where can they find you online?
Oh boy, we're on every platform. Cape crawlers across all of them. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're everywhere.
Perfect. Any shout outs to anybody close to you, members, builders, groups?
Well, I shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me on. I love what both of you guys are doing. So
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to hang out with you guys. I really enjoyed this. I think all the folks in the hobby who have supported my journey to get here and continue to watch the videos, and I wouldn't be where I am. It still feels weird to be where I am, honestly. Like I'm just a dude playing with these trucks, but the people that have supported the journey and the viewers, I mean, I just appreciate everyone who have gotten us where we are.
Isn't it kind of crazy to think like we're just like you said, we're just grown dudes playing with toy trucks. And
Yeah.
I mean, oh, it's just so fun though.
It is.
Yep.
It is very much fun. And my wife gives me crap all the time about that. You have so many, you're a toy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. We're grown men playing with toys. I get it. I
Yep.
get it.
Yeah, it could be worse.
My wife doesn't give me a hard time, but she definitely puts me on blast in front of other people.
Well,
So
I mean, my wife, bless her heart, it could be worse. I could be out at the bar drinking with the buddies, you know. Instead, I'm
That's
in the
it.
garage. She always knows
Right.
where I'm at. I'm in the garage, right?
Mhm.
Working away. Final thoughts or message to the RC community, Adam?
Yeah, I think we're in for some interesting times in the RC hobby. We've got some macroeconomic and kind of some geopolitical things happening that we're starting to feel the effects of in the hobby. Yeah, I think some of these larger, more profit-driven companies, I won't say names, but I think we've seen kind of the impacts of that already. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the hobby as far as innovation goes and new products and things. So I would I would say, sit tight. We'll see what this brings. I think companies like FMS are still on the gas. So it's going to be a shift in the RC world, I think. I think we'll see the ones who are truly innovative and passionate about the hobby, I think are going to rise to the top during the next year or two. And then I think we might see some big players slip, but I think competition's good for everybody. And it might level the playing field for some of these smaller manufacturers to come in with some really innovative products. So I would say keep an eye out for some new stuff coming from some lesser known companies. I think it's going to be a good stretch in the hobby. So if you'll just keep an eye out. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. And speaking from a smaller company, you know, the smaller guys need the help too. And I appreciate everybody, and including you, Adam, for adopting us really early. I mean, I remember the first time I reached out to you, and you were more than willing. And I mean, at that point, I think you had maybe just shy of 100,000 subscribers, and I really, more than appreciate what you have done for me personally and Crawler Tracks. It really means a lot to me, and you've been our number one supporters from the beginning. And we got some really cool stuff coming, and it's going to be coming your way.
Like I said, anything for you guys. I appreciate what you're doing. I love the products that you put out, and I'll stand by them for sure. And it's always fun hanging out with you guys.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. I know it's a late night for you, guys. We'll be back in 2 weeks, right, Chaz?
Two of us will be back.
Two
in,
of us.
in 2
Adam
weeks.
won't be back. We'll maybe get him on the show again in the future, but
Unless he enjoyed it, maybe it'll be Sam and Adam. Maybe I'm getting kicked off my own show. I don't know what's going to happen.
we're gonna have to kick Chaz off. If you guys have any other questions, I'm gonna try to go through the comments over the next week or so and respond to some of them. And if there's a burning question we missed, I'm sorry we didn't get to it, but I will even refer you to Adam. He's very good about responding to YouTube comments and everything. So if you have a question for him, hit him up. He will respond because that's the type of guy he is.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hit the quadfecta before you go, right, Chaz?
Hit the quadfecta, like, subscribe, comment, and share.
And go over to Cape's channel. Adam, you've been affectionately deemed in the hobby, by the way, as Cape Crawlers or Cape. Everybody refers to you as Cape. Head over to his channel, do the same thing, and then head to Chaz's channel. This will rebroadcast on Chaz's channel soon.
Yeah,
very soon. So
as soon as
we always
get
try
it uploaded, then we'll get it posted, and
and we always try to.
Well.
We're still trying to make it so we can simultaneously stream, but some pieces still got to fall into place. Once again, Adam, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And thanks for putting up with our little shenanigans. And we've really enjoyed the conversation with you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Buddy.
Okay. You guys, you know what to do. And I guess we'll see you on the trail.